Good morning, Niagara. You're tuned into Car Connection, where the coffee's hot, the tools are ready, and the talk is always tuned up. I'm your host, Nile Motormouth Jenkins, coming to you straight from the Car Connection workshop, where we mix a little humor, a little know-how, and a whole lot of horsepower. Here, it's not just about fixing cars, it's about keeping you rolling, saving you money, and giving you the confidence to understand what's under the hood. From the classics to the commuters, the weird noises to the what the heck moments, we've got you covered. So grab your coffee, sit back, and join the crew. If you're just rolling through the drive-through, the takeout window, double check your order. Just saying. Then lock it down in your cup holder, because this is Car Connection, your Monday through Saturday morning pit stop for stories, smarts, and a few good laughs. So I'm Nile Motormouth Jenkins, and thank you for letting us into your morning drive this morning and including us in your day. Make it a great day today. Happy, healthy motoring from all of us at the Car Connection Workshop. Here's what we got going on. Everything we talk about, whether it's here on our YouTube, here on our podcast or on our YouTube channel, every single thing we talk about lives at our website. It's the biggest drawer in our toolbox at carconnectionbusinessnetwork.com. That's CCBUS as in Sam, NET.com is the short version, so that you can find us there. So when you get to our homepage, you'll see all the logos for all our program sponsors and recommended businesses. Click on any one of those. You can open, get their profile page, and directly connect with them and check them out. Top right-hand corner, you'll see all the platforms that Car Connection is involved with. That's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Stevensvilleontheweb.ca. We have a business profile there. Click on the businesses tab to open that. And also our iHeartRadio icon is there. That's our link directly to our podcast library. And you can find us anywhere you pull your podcast from. So Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and the like. So whatever platform you pull your podcast from, we're there. Just search Car Connection Workshop. Our merchandise store, our merch store is there in the top right-hand corner. We just added 6 more items there. You can officially order your very own Car Connection coffee mug. Ever happened in the history of Car Connection Radio for 31 years, and now Car Connection Next Generation. I've ordered my own. Should be here soon, in a zip-up hoodie, in a long-sleeve shirt, and some knitted toques. What else did I order? Oh, I really like the ball cap that I told him we had to have on our merch store. It's black and gold colored, like a goldy yellow, like a street sign. Yeah. I want to road test one of those babies. I had one before. I had a bunch of them, and the company that was making them for us no longer around. So let's jump right in with a morning swiggy together, if you don't mind. Whatever your morning breakfast special is. Ours is high octane. We're back on the high octane, and I really like that. I still have my herbal tea afterwards. It really helps me health-wise. Still sort of battling the winter cold thing. Yesterday was a good day. Today, a little rough, so I apologize for that in advance. We count it down on 3, 2, 1, have a swiggy together, and let's launch and get into our topic this morning. But we must also say thank you to our program sponsors as well and give them a plug. And thank you for supporting them. Give them your business, not the business. Give them your business. You're in good hands, and let them know that Car Connection or Motormouth sent you. They have my seal approval. They're not just program partners. They've been with us so long. They're like family. And we really, really appreciate them coming alongside. So let's count it. 3, 2, 1. This one's actually hot. That's pretty good already. Winner. Gagnon. I could go for another swiggy. Maybe we might just do that, but not right now. Coming up, stay tuned to find out how you can be part of our 30-day fuel savings challenge, which is going to put a pile of cash back in your wallet. If you sell out to it and jump right in, you do 30 days one way and then 30 days a different way. And then you're going to see how much money you're actually wasting. And for most of you, you are going to be absolutely shocked and awed. And there's going to be, I believe there'll be quite a conversation around the kitchen table, especially if you have two cars on the road. So if he won't do the 30-day fuel savings challenge, then you do it. If she won't do it, fellas, then you do it. But at least one of you in the household, if you have two vehicles, you need to see how at least one of you is going to bring some cash back at the end of the year. And you'll be quite surprised how fast you can put $1,000 back in your pocket. And some of you with two vehicles, that could be more than $2,000 back in your pocket by simply making some changes and implementing those changes and doing it over and over and over again, what I like to call SOPs, standard operating procedures. Because once you know and you see how much money you're wasting, and then you can compare that to how much you can be saving every single month, you're going to be all in. And if you're not, then I'm not sure if you're still alive or not. You may want to breathe on the mirror and see if it kind of mists over or not. You might want to check on that. So today we're going to be talking about part 3 in the series on Brake Systems 101. We are now at Brake Systems Advance. How to know you're due for service. And this one, I'm going to take it a little bit easy on you. I know I might have been a bit rough on you in the part 1 and part 2, but you know what? It's an area where if you want to see for yourself what we saw all summer long in the Car Connection Workshop shooting YouTube videos, it was the Brake Nationals. All different types of vehicles were coming in, and the brakes totally destroyed. So let's give thanks to our program partners and our sponsors, because without them, we simply put, we wouldn't be here for you. And, we're not monetized yet, but when we do, it will make a whole lot of difference as to how we can help others. And that's what our vision has been from day one with all the platforms we're on, wherever we can generate monetization. I don't need another shiny thing. What we do need to make sure is that we do have a muscle car that we can put together and use that to raffle it off, with proceeds going to a local nonprofit faith-based organization in our own backyard. I have one put away that I paid for. It's a 1984 genuine, never been messed with, Monte Carlo SS. Yep, in the last year of that series of muscle cars. So Car Connections brought to you by Crystal Ridge Dream Center, serving men, women, children of all age groups, meals, love, and hope, changing lives one at a time in the Niagara region. They are Car Connections' faith-based nonprofit organization in our very own backyard, making a difference. In times when community support is crucial, Crystal Ridge Dream Center shines as a beacon of compassion and transformation. With over 61 volunteers, they're always looking for people to come and join them, come alongside, be part of the community, and do something each and every month. Be a part of what they do by simply checking them out on our website and either donate each month, send some gift cards in. Whatever you can do matters, because there at Crystal Ridge Dream Center, they know how to take a nickel and bang it into a dollar. Thank you for City Auto Sales and Leasing, bringing Car Connection to you. We're at the Car Connection Workshop, providing low mileage, top quality vehicles at fair prices. They've earned the title of GTA's premier pre-owned auto store. Greater Toronto Area's premier pre-owned auto store over the last 25 years. They carry an amazing amount of vehicles in stock, but if there's something you're specifically looking for, Earl and Louise, they're car guys and have been for a long time. They have the resources, and they don't buy or sell any junk whatsoever. They have leasing available as well as in-house financing. City Auto Sales and Leasing. Buy with confidence. Be treated with nothing less than honesty and integrity. And to Rainbow Motors and Garage, Rita and Ramiz Shanuda, the brothers up there in Scarborough. Sales and service you can trust. They have a small car lot. Again, They have the resources to find a specific vehicle that you may be looking for and they don't have it on their car lot. You can purchase there. There's extended warranties available as well, but you can also have it fixed there. You can have it repaired there. They fix all years, makes, and models, including an up to light commercial vehicle. So check in with Rainbow Motors and Garage, sales and service you can trust in Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. To our certified financial planning professionals, Tony Miele and Larry Tetro, my brothers from other mothers. They are my personal financial planners. 50 years experience. They work with one of the largest companies in the entire world, handling lots and lots of investments at IG Wealth Management. And there's so many services available to you. This is just a handful. Investment portfolios, debt retirement, estate planning, that's wills and powers of attorney. Putting a will together is so important and critical. It's not a cake mix in a box you buy at the Big W store or anywhere else. You need to have that done properly. Otherwise, things go crazy very, very quickly. Mortgages, life insurance, critical illness insurance, and you can have at what we call a discovery meeting, and we've nicknamed it the hour and a coffee. Complimentary, because you know me and Car Connection. Tony and Larry be happy to sit down with you if you're serious about laying all the cards on the table so that they can get a bird's eye view of what's going on in your house and in your life, so they can put together a game plan so that you have a financial roadmap to get you from where you are to where you want to be. And if you're taking advice from someone in your circle of friends or family, as my professor would say, don't take advice from anyone unless they're standing where you would like to be. So I say that lovingly because that hour and a coffee, that's where everything changes for you. You get your questions answered from those who have the fruit on the tree. So take advantage of that. Check in with Tony Miele or Larry Tetro. Let them know I sent you. And I'll tell you what, these guys are the bomb. 20 years. I've known them 20 years, and I'll tell you, they have helped me. I can't tell you how many times. I have my mortgage there. I have my insurance, my life insurance, critical illness. They've helped me through debt, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And you know what? Even if you have $1 or $100, they'll sit down and put together a plan for you to start having savings, creating money that's working hard for you instead of you hard for your money. If you've got investments at the bank, you really need that hour and a coffee because you're not making any money. Thank you to the Grimo family at Niagara Block, 5000 Montrose Road, Niagara Falls, building Canada since 1931. Building supplies, hardscape, landscaping materials that will help to create that phenomenal backyard oasis, your hideaway. I have my own, and you know what? We waited 2 years for the landscaper, and it was worth it because they did a lot of work down in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and we liked what we saw, so we got on their list. So I would suggest if you're looking to do something like that in 2026 and have it ready for the summer, start connecting now and get all the I's dotted, all the T's crossed. Customer service at Niagara Block, Niagara Falls, Montrose Road, they're the best of the best. You will love it there. And thank you to Total Freedom Darien Center, New York. That's Addiction Campus, available to men and women, Canadian and U.S. residents. Total Freedom Sydney, Manitoba is directed by Rick and Robin. I was thinking of Chris from Total Freedom there at the moment. Rick and Robin, husband and wife team, and let me tell you, they have a story to tell, both of them. I have walked through and out the back door on addictions, and now they're helping others to do the same. That is a men-only campus in Sydney, Manitoba, directly connected with Total Freedom Darien Center, New York. And it's not a program. You know what it is? It's restoration. It's healing and restoration to individuals and families that have been cycled and enslaved by cycles of addiction and destructive behavior. I've been in one of those relationships, and you know what? They don't mean to hurt you, but it happens, and it gets ugly, and it doesn't get any better, and they think they can fix it themselves. No, you can't. No, you can't. So when you purchase merchandise from Car Connection, be part of the Motormouth crew, proceeds go to help those who are enslaved because of addictions and destructive behaviors get to one of the campuses to receive, guess what? Your new life, because it's waiting for you there. So let's move on this morning. You ready? Okay, perfect. Don't forget about the 30-day fuel savings challenge coming up. We'll give you a complete heads up as we're getting closer to roll that out, because I want to have a way to know who's in and who's not, so that I'm not just sitting here blowing hot air. Well, maybe not totally hot air, but wasting my time. I've been 31 years on the radio and, fortunate to have helped a lot of people in some very tough situations and to learn the basic fundamentals and the basics when it comes to ownership, vehicle ownership. Doesn't matter what age group you are, tall, wide, short, whatever, vertically challenged, horizontally challenged, whatever. You can learn the fundamentals, the basic fundamentals. I always say this, they never change. Doesn't matter what year the vehicle is, the basic fundamentals never change. The way they function may change, so it may go from analog gauges to digital to electronic, push button, from push button to turning a knob to sliding a lever over to touch control. It all works the same. The same accessories, the same functions, but how they're done is the only thing that has changed. So instead of sliding a lever, you press a button, or it's Bluetooth and it's done for you, or it's remote control. You understand what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. You still got to put gas in it. You still got to put air in the tires. You still got to change the fluids. You still got to take the wheels off. You still got to change the heater controls. I'm having a hot flash, honey. We got to turn that back. I think I'm going to bake muffins on my forehead here in a minute. Yeah, all those things are the same. Brakes, everything out there, even if it's an electric plug-in jalopy or whatever, it has brakes, and they're going to need to be serviced, and you're going to burn them out, and there's going to be a cost. But how can we reduce the cost? That's why I'm here today with Series 1, Episode 56. And this part is called Brake Systems Advance. So we are going to go into the nuts and bolts so that you can unpack it. You can grab this podcast from our iHeart channel. Take it to be your own. Listen to all 3 parts. Share them. Our library is there. You can find us at iHeart and all the podcast platforms at Car Connection Workshop. And use and share every podcast that's there. And I'm going to tell you why. Because every podcast equals the same at the very end. Follow what I'm telling you, and you'll put money back in your pocket. You won't be buying a brand new vehicle every 5 years and continuing on the never plan. That is, you never really own it, because by the time you finish paying it off, there's nothing left. And I hope I'm not talking to those people, because they don't care. I've talked to them before, and you might as well get a cinder block from Niagara Block and bang your head against it, because you're never going to get them to buy into the fact that, you know what? One of my vehicles is heading for the 400,000 kilometer club, and I'm pushing on to get to the 600K club. And you can do it too if you change your mindset at how you look at your vehicle. Don't look at the age, don't look at the mileage, and certainly don't listen to the salespeople, because when they're lying, their lips are moving. And I'm not being disrespectful. They got to feed their families. If they don't sell you a car, then they're, that's a part of their paycheck gone. They got to move, as I was told by a long time seasoned salesman, we got to move that sheet metal and rubber, Motormouth, all the time. We got to sell it, and sell it good. So I'm sharing over 40 years, 4 decades of being in the automotive service and repair industry. My licenses are up to date for light truck and passenger, my air conditioning license, as well as highway trucks, coaches, and diesels, heavy-duty diesels. Truck drivers know how to save money. Truck drivers know how to keep their rig going because downtime is over $1,000 a day. It used to be when I worked for Peterbilt of Ontario, it was about $960 a day that the truck would lose in profitability if it were in the shop being fixed. So 3 days, that's a lot of money. And so that $960 today is probably twice that and then some downtime. So just imagine your vehicle when it's parked and it's laid up for service, waiting for parts or whatever, getting diagnosed to determine what's wrong with it, or it's basic maintenance. That's still a day of downtime. Imagine how would you feel about absorbing a couple of $1,000s out of your pocket for lost profitability that day, or working for your boss over the next 3 days for free because you got to pay for, it's going to come out of your pocket, pay for the car to get it back, right? All right. So one of the biggest areas that we saw this past summer, and that's what's pushed me to push on you a little bit harder, is I want to see you save money. I want to see you keep that vehicle that's bought and paid for and you own it. So when you put the key in the ignition, you're not in partnership with the bank. And I remember one day I was going through the border, quick story here, and it was the summertime. And that was when I was broadcasting in the U.S. We didn't have our own studio like we do right now, as we have since we started building it in 2012, finished it in 14. Yeah, talk about contractors. You got to have the right ones, babies. Whew. Yeah, that was a learning curve. Should have hired a general contractor. I know all about that now. So if you're building something at home, don't be the general contractor. It's going to cost you, but in the end, you know what? It's going to be worth it because the general contractor lays a whooping on all the other contractors coming in to do their ditty, getting it done on time, checking to make sure the work is done to satisfaction. You don't have to deal with that. If I had known that then, we would have been up and running a long time before that. So it took 2 years. 2 years from the shovels going in the ground to almost the end of 2014. So we started October the 7th, 2012, and didn't finish till the following year in the fall of 14. Egads, man. So the U.S. Customs dude in the booth looks at me and he goes, who owns this vehicle? I go, oh, I'm in partnership. In partnership? What does that mean? With the bank. And he started laughing. He goes, I have never, ever heard someone say that before. But isn't that right when you're making payments and interest? I go, yep. But you know what? I've got less than 6 months to go. Last payment, I am going to do a 20-minute happy dance on my front yard. And he goes, good for you. I said, I've worked hard. I don't want to make payments for a car anymore, ever. I'm done. If I can't pay cash for it, I'm not getting it. It's that simple. And I don't care what year it is. My newest vehicle is officially an '08. That's right. That's the one that runs on practically farts in a jar. Just a little Nissan Rogue, and I'm babying it and taking care of it. It's all-wheel drive, and I know they have lots of problems, and I know the list, and I will take really, really good care of it because it doesn't use a whole lot of fuel, which is amazing. So just remember that. When you put that key in the ignition or press that start button, is it yours or are you in partnership with the bank or a financing company? Because if you talk to Tony Miele and Larry Tetro and sit down and have an hour and a coffee, they'll tell you best vehicle in the driveway, especially in the economy we're working with right now, is the one that's paid for. So let's jump right into tearing out all the details in Brake Systems Advance. First and foremost, I'm going to critically pull apart the myth that because your vehicle's an automatic transmission, honey, we don't need to use the emergency brake. You could never be any wronger by saying that. And that, if you buy into that myth, that's the reason why you go to our YouTube channel and go through all the videos from summer 2025. You will see vehicle after vehicle after vehicle, all different makes and models, rear brakes completely blown apart, rotted out, rusted out, just nothing salvageable. Nothing. Why? Because you don't use the emergency brake, the parking brake. That's where it all starts. Because the rear brakes on most vehicles now are rear disc brakes with a brake drum tucked inside the rotor. And those components need to be working to keep the system working properly on the rear of the car. And here's where I blow a hole. I take your lunch money, fellas, and your milk money. When you're not using the emergency brake every single day, it takes 21 days to make or break a habit. So if your habit's been, oh, I don't need to use the parking brake because it's an automatic. Well, you know what? If I were there with you, I would treat you like a very bad donkey. But sometimes there's two types of ignorance. There's ignorance with knowledge and ignorance without knowledge. That's ignorance without knowledge. That's why I'm being a little on the gentle side, is you don't know what you don't know. That's why you don't have, because if you knew it, you knew you'd have it. And to know it, not do it, means you never knew it in the first place, period. So Armchair Warriors, this is where you can exit the channel. I don't care. I'm talking to the people that really want to put money back into your wallet, and that's my job. My job is to educate you. That is not true. Look at the videos. All the basics. I pull it all apart. Every single make and model that I worked on this past summer, 2010 Dodge Ram Hemi with a Hemi tick. We'll talk about that later. Engineering and tolerances and why engines are coming apart right now. Lots of them out there. Domestics, pretty much. Anyhows, what I'm talking about is all different makes and models. Same rear disc brake setup, just a little different manufacturer to manufacturer. We did a 2010 Kia Borrego. First time I'd ever seen one. Great big behemoth of a four-wheel drive V8 as well. We did some engine work on that too, some tune-up and whatnot. It needed that, but the brakes in the rear were just like a bag of hammers. Nothing to save. Nothing. So that's a gut job. That is all your money right there. Because now, in order for me to get those rear brakes working, I've got to get the emergency brake working. And here's where the problem begins. I did a 2010 Borrego. I did a 2010 Dodge Hemi 2500 4x4. And these were all rear disc brakes with the same emergency brake setup where there's a drum inside the rotor and there's shoes in there. There's hold down kits, and that's where your cables go to for your e-brakes. What else did I do? The 08. I did the 08 Nissan Ragu. Rogue, sorry, I nicknamed it Ragu because you just move the letters around. And it makes Ragu, which I used to eat on my pasta going through college. Yeah. And drinking, not really drinking, but taking a big spoonful of coffee crystals and a glass of water and out the door. Get to school on time. Don't get a cease training. So that's 3, but there's more. I know there's more on there. All the same thing. And I show you every detail, every single detail of the destruction. But here's the problem. It's like my professor friend of many years that passed away from pancreatic cancer. It was a huge surprise. I still miss him. He's been gone for almost a decade. I miss him every day. He taught me so much. He was a psychologist. And he said, you know, my job of 38 years has been very simple, Motormouth, and that is all I got to do is get people to think. But he says where the 38 years comes in, I got to get them to think right. And I think about how I'm explaining this right now to you, the rear brakes. And if I had a nickel for every fella that said, oh, it's an automatic, I don't need to use the park brake, I'd be sitting in the Cayman Islands enjoying little fruit drinks with the umbrella sticking out and calling you and saying, hey, what are you doing? Oh, you're working? What are you doing? Well, I'm sitting here with the waves lapping my feet, having a nice freshly squeezed fruit drink with a little umbrella in and watching ice melt. They hang up. I don't know why. But that's what I'd be doing. Here's the problem. All those three vehicles I just talked about, the same rear brake setup. In fact, we got an 84 Trans Am GTA in the shop. I own that, not because I wanted to. There's a huge backstory to that. Yeah, you can watch the video as well. I was so cheesed off with that, having to pay for that car, that I put it away in storage for 30 years. I put a new motor in it, did all the brakes and everything. Anyways, that has rear disc brakes, and the emergency brake on that too, it's an automatic, must be working. Must be working, fully functional for the rear brakes to stay in adjustment. Your car is exactly the same if it's 5 days old. Rear disc brakes, automatic. Use the flipping parking brake. Use it. And if you haven't used it for a long time, please don't use it until you have a service tech check to make sure you can put it on and it will come off and that it's working 100%. Because if it isn't, it's going to turn into a freak show. I'm just saying. Don't just start using it if you've not been using it. But here's where the problem comes in. If I can't convince you to change your habit of not using it and the mentality of, oh, it's an automatic, I don't need to use it, then I can't help you. There's no possible way I can come to your house and check and make sure that your parking brake is on every time you park the car. Every time you park the car. Not once in a while, fellas, and I'm picking on the fellas because they're the ones who say, oh, it's an automatic, I never use the parking brake. Oh, really? That's usually how I spawn. Oh, really? You know how much that's costing you? What do you mean? Well, you're ruining the rear brakes. And you're burning the front ones out, so that's where we're going. Why do you need to treat the rear brakes better? Well, because when they're not working, you burn out the front brakes faster. Because all the weight and all the braking is being done by the front wheels when they're already doing most of the work at about 70-75% of the braking is done with the front wheels. Well, then I hear the fellas, well, the rear brakes are just there for vacation, for fun. Maybe we don't even need to do those, just do a rear brake delete. Yeah, that's a great idea. You go ahead and do that. Not me. So when the rear brakes are not working properly and you apply the brake and you don't feel like the back of the car is slowing you down sooner, like the rear brakes will come on sooner than the front brakes. So it's like a dog squatting to pee, a female. Except I did have a male dog yeah, I did. I had a beagle. Yeah, Cato. He always squatted to pee. I questioned that way back then. Anyhow, I digress. But that's what should happen. You start applying the brakes, you feel the rear of the car starting to slow you down, and then the front brakes start to engage. That's the way they're designed. So if you don't understand how they work, that's why I say there's ignorance with knowledge, and then there's ignorance without knowledge. And primarily what I'm talking about right now is ignorance without knowledge. Because unless you go to an automotive evening program where you can, and we did some for quite a few years and it got out of hand. It was like, could have become a full-time job for me, was hosting women's service clinics. And we took in 12 ladies. They had to buy a ticket. The proceeds from the tickets went to local charities by the shop host. And then we got some of our program partners jump in and pay for snacks and stuff like that, goodie bags and raffle prizes. It was a great evening. And then I got the guys going, well, you're doing that for the women. What about us guys? Oh, you guys know it all. Well, we might learn something. Might. The ladies were right into it. We put them in coveralls. We had three, depending on the size of the shop, we could run 3 or 4 service bays with a different project going in each bay, monitored with a licensed mechanic there with you to walk you through it. And then you got to do it. So it was not just talk all night. It was talk, then do. And then you would rotate to the next elective. It was really cool. So that's where we had the ladies doing brake jobs, even taking calipers off, pulling the brake pads out, having a look at them, getting to know where the pins and bushings are and what they do and how they work, and that they need to be nice and free and lubricated. But here's the thing. If you won't look after the rear brakes that do the braking, so getting the car slowed down sooner than later, you're going to constantly go through front brakes because you overheat the brake pads, overheat the rotors, and they warp. They warp before you even burn the brakes out. So then you get something called, I call it shake and brake. You're applying the brakes and you're kind of, are my fillings going to stay in? Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, I got it. Stop. And it doesn't get any better. It just progresses. So that is the cause and effect. But even if I got out and I changed calipers, pins, bushings, the whole 9 yards, cables, brake cables, the emergency shoes, all the hold down kits, springs and whatnot for that, and then we got brake pads on top of that. Even if I do all that and you still have the mindset, well, it's an automatic, I don't need to use the parking brake, I can't help you, because you begin the process of destruction on the rear brakes all over again. So you now spent all that money, and now you're not going to utilize the rear brakes properly. Tell me how. This is what I'd like somebody in the comments, or send me an email. Tell me how that makes sense, because I can't make sense of that. Tell me how. I only need to do brake inspections and services one every 6 months. I don't drive like an idiot. I can't afford it. I don't play hard because I don't want to break it. I don't race the thing down the highway 30 to 40 kilometers an hour over the suggested speed limit. I don't like wasting my fuel economy. I certainly don't like spending money on my vehicle that I don't have to because of my own negligence. So somebody tell me how all that makes sense to you. Really. Because I can't wrap my head around that. I honestly can't. I've seen people for over 4 decades. I won't tell you how old I am, but I've got actually more than 4 decades in the automotive service and repair industry. More than that. And I still love it. I really do. I enjoy every minute. Some days, you get into something in the shop and it can be difficult and it can be challenging, but you got to get through it. So I all those years of experience, I can tell you how to save money, but I can't help you if you don't listen. It's that simple. Brake systems advance is everything I just talked about. How do you avoid all that? First of all, you got to buy into exactly what I told you. If you're not going to use the emergency brake, you're going to keep paying to have all that equipment and parts replaced, parts and labor, to start the process all over again. Well, it's an automatic. I don't need to use a park brake. And you drive like maniacs. Honest to goodness, I used to love driving. I did. I used to love being out on the highway and byways. I don't anymore. I can't stand it because it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy out there. And most of you don't realize if your car's not performing well and the brakes aren't working well, nothing else matters if you can't stop it or steer it. You make one mistake and you hit that brake, hit the brakes, and they're not performing well. The vehicle's not staying and tracking straight when you hit the brakes. You've got a brake system it's got wear and tear. You can lose control of the vehicle, snag somebody else's car, and end up in a 50-car pileup in literally minutes. Minutes. And honest to goodness, how that doesn't happen every day on the QEW. just on the QEW, not the 400 series, not even talking about that, because that's just it's just chaos on steroids when you get to the 400 series highways. I watch you folks out there and I go, man, you got more money than brains. The way you drive, the way you're abusing that piece of equipment, they're not designed for that. Did you know that? They're not designed for the way you're driving it. Like you stole it. Like you got money to burn. That's what I'm trying to teach you here. Money to burn. That's what I see. I watch the driving. I watch the brake lights coming on, and I'm going, yeah, those cars will not make it a year without having to have major brake replacement. And as I mentioned already, gut jobs. That means nothing salvageable. You've destroyed it all. Please tell me how that makes sense. Because I can't wrap my head around it at all. Why would you want to drive like the way you do, costing yourselves a ton of money on the repair orders? A ton. Not once, but every single time. Every single time. You're spending, and driving the vehicle right into the ground. You're killing it. Absolutely killing it. So I'm pushing a little bit hard today because I hope you understand where I'm coming from. Cars aren't getting any cheaper. You're paying $60,000 plus for a piece of sheet metal and rubber. Tell you what, I'll take a classic vintage car that's increasing in value any day over anything that's on the market right now. There's nothing you could give me for free that I would want out there. Not one. Because you know what they are? They're throwaway. They're all throwaway. That's what they want you to do. So if you understand that a little bit more, you know what? You're going to save money. Keep that sucker going as long as you can and get to the 600,000 kilometer club. And guess what? You will have put a lot of money in your wallet instead of throwing it to the wind. Or as my professor would say, just take that big wad of cash, go to the bathroom, keep throwing it in and flush till it's all gone. Because that's what you're doing with your life. You're throwing it away. That's what most of you, a majority of you that I see driving out there, you are throwing away your hard-earned cash. You're throwing away what you're trading your time for, and that is money. Trading time for money. That's what we've done. And you do it for 35, 40 years. How can you save money? That's why I'm here. I'm here for those that are going to go, I'm ready. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That's how it works. It's that simple. So if I can't get you to believe that the rear brakes do a lot of work for you to keep balanced braking on all four corners of your vehicle, takes the weight off the brakes on the front so you're not heating them up, burning them out prematurely and getting shake and brake. And once that happens, you're into money. It's pads, it's rotors, and it could be calipers as well another time. Again, I got to do calipers again. Yeah, you've overheated them. They're burnt. And we can smell it. As soon as you pull the wheel off, you can smell it. Burnt brake. I don't even like that with barbecue sauce. In the rear brakes, on the three particular vehicles that I've been talking about we video recorded for our YouTube channel, there was nothing salvageable on any of it all the way around. All four corners of the vehicle. There was nothing left. Nothing left. So I was asked by all the people who own those vehicles, what can I do? You need to do a full brake inspection. Now, here's where the rubber meets the road. A full brake inspection, wheels off, not a peekaboo. For you folks that drive like I just explained, you need a brake inspection and a service every 4 months. That's not going to be $1,000. It's not even going to be $400. About an hour's labor on the front, about an hour's labor on the back. Money in the bank. To get those brakes, keep them solid, keep everything working, using the parking brake every time you park the vehicle. Every time. Oh, I'm just running into every time. I'm just getting a every time. You can follow me all day, every day, and you'll see. You'll see every single time before I even take my seatbelt off, the parking brake is on. Whatever vehicle I'm using, parking brake is on. And today, you could walk the parking lot here at the Car Connection Workshop. Every vehicle that's sitting parked right now that's around the building, handbrake is on, park brake is on, period. That's how you do it. That's how you do it, period. So we're going to do one more segment for this. Brake systems review. We're going to do a full review. I'm going to talk about all the components and give you a good idea of what that costs to do that job, what it costs. And I'm going to get, I'll use the service and repair times, and I'll look up the parts just on an average vehicle out there and tell you what that costs to do a four-wheel disc brake job, including the emergency brake. Because if the emergency brake system is not working on the rear, there's no sense in doing brakes at all back there because it won't function 100%, period. Just won't. In many cases, you can't even take it apart and put it back together without having all the pieces working. You can't. It's not possible. Not possible. So we'll do that as a follow-up. Brake systems, we'll call it brake systems follow-up and review, and cover parts, labor, tax, all in, what that looks like. So that I want you to really get a good feel about the money. And that's where I really like the challenge from the certified financial planners is to stop using your debit card, your credit card, and pay cash for everything. Take out window, all of it. For a month, watch your mindset change about money. It's crazy, but it works. You go to the grocery store, you unload those bills, and you pay for your groceries. No debit card, no credit card. Period. Do it for a month. Your mindset about money and what I said about trading time for money will be a huge reality check. So that's where I thought best way to do a really good follow-up on brake systems and how to know when you're due for service is to get you to hear the cash it's going to take to fix it. Parts, labor, and tax. So that's coming up next. We're going to unpack that so that you really know what that, oh, honey, you don't have to use the emergency brake, parking brake. The car's an automatic. Wah, 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 wah. Anyhow, that's the way that works. So everything we talk about here lives at our website at carconnectionbusinessnetwork.com. It's the biggest drawer in our toolbox that we can connect with you. You can connect with us. All the logos are there for our program partners and sponsors that keep us alive here on iHeartRadio and all the podcast platforms. Our YouTube channel going, Facebook, Instagram, Stevensvilleontheweb.ca. Just click on the businesses tab and our merch store. So anytime you buy some merch, you know you're helping someone who is suffering with an addiction somewhere, somehow, some age group, whatever that may be. You're helping them to get the help they need to break past that addiction and get a new life. So till tomorrow morning for another edition of the Motormouth Morning Drive. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for having me. And I hope I didn't beat up on you too hard. I don't apologize for that, because if you want to save money, you got to get tough. If you want to making it happener, then the only way you're going to making it happener is by listening and doing. And remember, the do does and the did is done. Happy motoring and peace, patience, and kindness. And we'll see you in the next one. Keep it under 100. Put that coffee on. We're going to come to your house.